car starts, eventually. Not the first turn of the key, but the second, sometimes the third, after a pause that feels longer than it is. It sits where it always sits, in the same patch of shade that moves a little each season. The paint has dulled unevenly, as if time has been selective. There are places where the sun reached more often, places it didn't. The door opens with a sound that wasn't there before. It closes the same way. Nothing about it is surprising anymore. Inside, the seat holds the shape of the person who uses it. The fabric has thinned in one spot. The dashboard light flickers when the engine settles. The radio remembers stations that aren't listened to. A cup holder holds nothing, but it keeps the outline of what used to be there. The decision doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with paperwork or ceremony. It's felt in the way the hand hesitates on the key, in the way the mileage is checked, again, though the number is already known, in the way advertisements are noticed and then dismissed, not with logic, but with fatigue. Keeping it one more year sounds temporary. It sounds like something that ends. The phrase carries the shape of relief, but it doesn't contain it. It just postpones it, stretches it thin, like plastic wrapped over something heavy. The car has been kept before. There were other years that were supposed to be the last. Each one passed quietly. Each one left a mark that only becomes visible later. A stain that won't come out. A sound that doesn't go away. A repair that fixes one thing and exposes another. There's a folder somewhere with receipts, oil changes, brake pads, a battery replaced after a winter that came early. The totals add up to something, but not to clarity. The numbers sit next to each other without forming an argument. They just exist. Outside, other cars move through the street. Newer ones, quieter ones. Their headlights are sharper. Their doors close without echo. They don't linger. They don't ask to be considered. They pass through the frame and disappear. The old car waits. It has learned how. Every morning, there's a brief calculation. Not written down, not spoken, just a sense of weight shifting. The engine turns over. The sound is familiar enough to be reassuring and worn enough to be concerning. Both feelings arrive together. Neither wins. On the road, the steering wheel vibrates slightly at certain speeds. It always has. It doesn't seem to be getting worse, but it isn't getting better. Hands adjust without thinking. The body compensates. This is how habits form, quietly, around small imperfections. There's a light on the dash that comes on sometimes. Not always. It disappears after a day or two, then returns without explanation. When it's off, it's almost forgotten. When it's on, it's watched without being addressed. The car continues either way. Someone once mentioned a trade-in value. The number was lower than expected and higher than feared. It didn't help. It just added another figure to the background noise. Another way to measure something that didn't want to be measured yet. Keeping the car means not deciding anything else. It means the driveway stays the same. The insurance payment stays the same. The routines remain intact. Nothing has to be learned. Nothing has to be compared. There is comfort in that, but it's a muted comfort, like sitting in a room with the lights dimmed instead of turned off. The seatbelt sticks in the cold. The window moves slower than it used to. The air conditioning works, but not evenly. These are not problems exactly. They're characteristics now. They're expected. They've been absorbed into the background of daily movement. Sometimes, after parking, there's a moment of listening. The engine ticks as it cools. The sound carries longer than it used to. It fills the silence between shutting the door and walking away. It's not alarming. It's just present. There was a time when the car felt temporary in a different way, when it was new enough to imagine replacing it easily, when its flaws were still abstract. That time isn't recalled often. It doesn't feel connected to now. It belongs to another version of the same routine. The year ahead is imagined in fragments. A winter morning, a long drive, a sudden noise that wasn't there before. None of these are certain. None of them are denied. They hover, indistinct, like weather that hasn't been forecast. Keeping it one more year isn't framed as bravery. It isn't framed as thrift. It's framed as not yet. Not yet dealing with the search. Not yet sitting in unfamiliar seats. Not yet signing something that makes the decision irreversible. The car holds a record of places that aren't remembered clearly anymore. The trunk has carried things that are no longer owned. The back seat has held conversations that didn't leave a trace. The odometer counts all of it without distinguishing. When something goes wrong, it's addressed just enough. Enough to keep going. Enough to quiet the immediate concern. The deeper questions are left untouched, not because they're difficult, but because they aren't urgent. Urgency is the only thing that moves them. There's a mechanic who recognizes the car, not by name, but by familiarity. The conversation is brief. A nod, a comment about age, a suggestion that sounds optional. The keys are handed back. The engine starts again. On some days, the car feels reliable. On others, it feels borrowed. The difference isn't in the car. It's in the attention paid to it. On days when it's noticed less, it behaves better. On days when it's watched closely, every sound feels louder. The phrase "one more year" repeats quietly. It doesn't demand anything. It just marks time. It sits alongside other phrases that function the same way. Soon, later, after this. They don't point forward so much as they hold things in place. The relief that was expected doesn't arrive all at once. It leaks out in small moments. In not opening a browser tab. In not stopping to look at a dealership lot. In not having to explain a change to anyone else. It's there, but it's thin, and it doesn't last. The car doesn't mind being kept. It doesn't mind being used or ignored. It responds to input. It moves when asked. It stops when told. It doesn't comment on the future. It only reacts to the present. At night, under streetlights, the scratches show more clearly. They catch the light at angles that daylight hides. Each one has a story that isn't fully remembered. They don't detract. They just accumulate. There's a moment sometimes when the idea of replacing it feels close, almost practical. The features are imagined. The quiet, the absence of warning lights, the smoothness. The moment passes. It doesn't need to be pushed away. It fades on its own. Keeping the old car one more year becomes part of the landscape. It's no longer a decision that's actively made. It's a condition that's accepted, like weather, like traffic, like the way certain days feel heavier without explanation. The calendar moves. The car remains. Oil is changed. Tires are rotated. The year begins to look like other years. The difference between them blurs. There is no final check-in, no moment where the choice is reviewed and confirmed. The car continues to be there. The relief continues to be deferred. They coexist without resolving anything between them. And somewhere between starting the engine and turning it off again, the thought appears briefly, then disappears, leaving the sound of the car settling into place as it has learned to do.